Welcome back, everybody. It's now time to hear the report on the closed session, and I call upon the Chairman of the Executive Committee, Mr. Kohnstamm.
Dear Rudesha Madhup, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As chair of the executive committee of this international conference, it is my honor and pleasure to report to you about the discussions the commissioners have had over the past 2 days in our annual closed part of the session. But before I do that, I would like to thank the Mauritius Data Protection Office, Rudesha Madhup, and her pretty small team for organizing such a great and big conference at a wonderful location. Like His Excellency the Minister just said, it's the first time our conference takes place in Africa, and so it's a first step to privacy and data protection, and I very much congratulate Mauritius to have this first conference here. The main topic of the closed session this year was the Internet of Things. 4 speakers: Professor Scott Peppert, University of Colorado, Professor Rolf Weber, University of Zurich, Kate Carruthers, business strategist from Sydney, Australia, and Paul Bruning, Intel, presented the commissioners with the positive changes the Internet of Things may bring to our daily lives, as well as the risks. The speakers also took stock of what needs to be done in order to ensure the continued protection of our personal data, as well as our private lives. During the ensuing debate, the commissioners have had several observations. However, since the closed session indeed takes place behind closed doors, I will not be able to repeat everything or parts that was said, but that's why Rudesha Madhup and I have drafted what we call the Mauritius Declaration on the Internet of Things, which contains some conclusions drawn from the discussion as far as Mrs. Madhup and I concluded them. And here they are. The Internet of Things is here to stay. Ever more devices are connected to the Internet and are able to communicate with each other, sometimes without the user being aware such communication takes place. These devices can make our lives much easier. For example, in healthcare, transportation, and energy, the connected devices can change the way we do things. The Internet of Things, however, can also reveal intimate details about the doings and goings of their owners through the senses they contain. Self-determination is an inalienable right for all human beings. Personal developments should not be defined by what business and government knows about us. The proliferation of the Internet of Things increases the risks that this will happen. Internet of Things sensor data is high quality, quantity, and sensitivity. This means the interferences that can be drawn are much bigger and more sensitive, and identifiability becomes more likely than not. Considering that the identifiability and protection of big data already is a major challenge, it is clear that big data derived from Internet of Things devices makes these challenges many times larger. Therefore, such data should, in our opinion, be regarded and treated as personal data. Even though for many companies the business model is as yet maybe unknown, it is clear that the value of the Internet of Things is not only the devices themselves. The money is in the new services related to the Internet of Things and in the data. Everyone who lives today will realize that connectivity is ubiquitous. This may apply even more strongly to the young and to the future generations who cannot imagine a world without being connected. It should not, though, solely be their concern as to whether or not their data is protected. It is a joint responsibility of all actors in society so that the trust in connected systems can be maintained. And to this end, transparency, of course, is key. Those who offer Internet of Things devices should be clear about what data they collect, for what purposes, and how long this data is retained. They should eliminate the out-of-context surprise for customers. When purchasing an Internet of Things device or application, proper, sufficient, and understandable information should be provided. Current privacy policies do not always provide information in a clear, understandable manner. Consent on the basis of such policy can hardly be considered to be informed consent. Companies need, we think, a mind shift to ensure privacy policies are not longer only or primarily about protecting them from litigation, but to really make customers, data subjects, aware of what is being done with their data. Data processing starts from the moment the data are collected. All protective measures should be in place from the outset. We encourage the development of technologies that facilitate new ways to incorporate data protection and consumer privacy from the outset. Privacy by design and default should no longer be regarded as something peculiar. They should become, if possible, a key selling point of innovative technologies. The Internet of Things also poses significant security challenges that need to be addressed. A simple firewall is not longer sufficient. One way to minimize the risk to individuals is to ensure that data can be processed on the device itself, local processing. And where this is not an option, companies should ensure end-to-end encryption is in place to protect the data from unwarranted interference and/or tampering. Taking into account the huge challenges faced by Internet of Things developers, data protection authorities and individuals, all actors should engage in a strong, active and constructive debate on the implication of the Internet of Things and its derived big data to raise awareness of the choices made. That brings me straight to the second debate that was held during the closed session yesterday. How to further improve the information between data protection and privacy authorities in international enforcement. Now, the Internet has created, like we all know, a world almost literally without boundaries. It is of the greatest importance that we, the Privacy and Data Protection Commissioners, join hands even more decidedly than before. Of course, it is not an easy discussion how to achieve that goal, but we have managed to adopt two essential documents: the Global Cross-Border Enforcement Cooperation Arrangement, as well as an associated resolution. Through the adoption of these documents, an important bridge was crossed. Cooperation will rather become the rule than the exception, which is of great importance to our effectiveness. That is to the benefit of consumers, data subjects, and also for the supervision on governments, for those who have the competence to do so, but most importantly, for the supervision on data processing in the private sector. 2 more resolutions were adopted during the closed session. One on big data, containing a number of preconditions data controllers need to take into account, and another one embracing UN High Commissioner for Human Rights report on privacy in the digital age. These resolutions will be available shortly on the website of the conference. Now let me conclude my report with the announcement that this was my last year as chairman of the executive committee. With unanimous support, Isabelle, Falque, Pierrotin from the French CNIL, also chairing the Working Party 29, I was elected as the new member of the executive committee, and also with unanimous support, John Edwards from New Zealand was elected as the new chair of the committee. Finally, let me announce that the next conference will take place in Amsterdam. The Dutch Data Protection Authority is preparing a full week of privacy events from 26th to 29th of October 2015. Take your agendas, 26th to 29th of October 2015. Thanks for your attention. I wish us all a very fruitful conference, and after that, see you next year in Amsterdam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jakob Kohnstamm. It's now time for our plenary discussions. Plenary 1 is titled Interconnected Privacy Systems, Perspectives from Across the Oceans. And I invite Allan Chiang, Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data, Hong Kong. Isabelle Falque Pierrotin, President of Commission of Informatique et Libertés, and Article 29 Working Party. Edith Ramirez, Chairwoman, U.S. Federal Trade Commission, and the moderator will be Eduardo Ustana.
Are we all set? Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And what a warm and exciting start we have had at this International Privacy Commissioners Conference. And apart from all the fantastic scenery, there is a lot of thinking to be done here. A lot of work has already been done by the privacy commissioners over the past couple of days. And we start the first plenary session looking at privacy truly from an international perspective. Perspectives from across 3 continents, reflecting different views, different cultural approaches to privacy, to data protection, different laws. But nonetheless, we're here to try to take the best of all these cultures and approaches and make some sense of it and take things forward. Our panelists this afternoon need no introduction, and we're going